Yes, everything is fine. Hello, welcome everyone to the Unbound. It's been a while. We had a bit of a technical iffy thingy that I sort of mistaked, so we're a bit quick on the hop in here. Yeah, welcome everyone. We're straight gonna go into this. So last episode, our group sort of decided to free the Oracle. Elalu provided the distraction in front of the ziggurat after also going through a bit of a odd moment with fabrics that sort of seemed to almost rot at the touch. So yeah, she's sort of worried about that and having some priests look into what this might be. Meanwhile, the rest of the group, while she's distracting by leading the rehearsals in front of the ziggurat, the rest of the group is trying to free the Oracle, which they busted into his room. They found the Oracle, who seems to be an albino young man, with very pale skin, white hair, and pinkish irises, pinkish reddish irises, that seemed to have been battered. Now, due to the technical difficulties, something more happened ever since. That is my fault, I'm so sorry. They figured, or they discovered, that the Oracle's tongue had been recently removed, and while looking through the room, it seemed like whoever might have done this had taken the actual tongue away from this place, as the Oracle also sort of gestured that whoever it was brought it away from here. Now they're trying to sort of bust him out. They made their way through the temple quarter away from this place. They've put the Oracle on a horse together with Messi, and Messi is currently riding the Oracle to her home, as the rest of the group sort of is following. Now, are the rest of you going to leave Elalu behind at this point, or where is the rest of you headed, now that the Oracle seems to have been extracted from his quarters?
My job is pretty much done at this point, so to alleviate suspicion, I'm going to head in a different direction. And by that I mean away from the ziggurat.
Sargon is...
And away from them as well.
Yes, slinking away from the ziggurat, as he's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from the crime scene for a while. Amaru, what is your plan?
Well, as much as I would love to not be in the middle of this whole thing, this man's hurt, so I'm coming with in case he needs medical assistance, which he probably does.
Alright, so you make your way towards Messi's house, and Ardeth sort of follows the example of Sargon for the time being and says, if you need me, I'll be at, well, you know where to find me. And he leaves as well. Elalu, meanwhile, in the front of the ziggurat, the dance rehearsals are going remarkably well at this point. You've gathered quite a bit of attention. A lot of people seem to have been, well, seem to be interested in seeing what's going on. Everyone is wanting to see the spoilers for tomorrow. So, after a while, the sort of rehearsal is called to a break. Is there anything that you want to do or want to go see at this point?
Is it like just a break where the rehearsals will continue afterwards? Like, how much time does she have?
You have at least an hour available before they will pick it up again.
Does she see any of this group anywhere nearby?
You look around the square and you don't recognize any faces of your particular group at this point.
Nope, so she'll just stay with those lot then. Ping me when you guys need me.
You do notice two familiar faces, however, as Baru seems to be talking somewhere in the square with the seamstress and someone else at this moment.
Yeah, she'll go join them.
Alright. So when you arrive, Baru looks up at you and is like, "Ah, Elalu. Sithu here and I, we've been discussing dress situation and the whole idea that you had, we decided to involve some other seamstresses as well, just to get everything done in time. Because, well, at this accelerated timetable, when she's not going to make it alone. And Cthulhu sort of looks at you and sort of... You see when she looks at you, roll me an insight wits, if you don't mind.
Where is insight? Okay, there we go. Insight, let's roll.
It would be a critical success, 7 successes. You can read in Cthulhu's eyes when she is looking at you and nodding in your direction that there is a feeling of mistrust and fear in her eyes when she is looking at you.
Alana looks a little bit nervous because this is like, you know, kind of like a family of friends she's in her pretty much all her life, so... Any tips I ever make, or whenever I have a free moment, I'll do what I can to help out for you, to make up for all that, I promise.
That is so sweet of you, dear, but I do think with the help of the other seamstresses that I'll be, we should be fine with making your dress and to have it ready in time for tomorrow. But on that note, I really should get going and get to work, and she sort of bows at Baru and then sort of nods at you and starts making her leave. And Baru turns to you and says, "Oh, good. Now, since we have a short moment in private," and he sort of looks around him, "as for your other situation, we are looking into it, as in, whatever this is, it feels like it's a malicious intent, but we do not think, considering your devotion to Manat, we do not think it is your fault. We think this might be someone else that has some sort of... Do you have any enemies?"
Not that I know of.
Yeah, that is... Well, that makes this a difficult thing to go and figure out. But we'll talk about this perhaps tonight, or perhaps if you want to take rest, then perhaps we will talk about this after the festival tomorrow, so that you have time for yourself and time to enjoy the dance and the festival. Does that sound like an idea to you, girl?
Yeah, it works. Are you sure there's something I can do to help out? Otherwise, I don't like just waiting and feeling like a burden.
Do not worry about that. And he sort of places a hand on your shoulders and he's like, "From what my colleagues and I understand of this, we do not think it is you. So try not to blame yourself."
I'll try. Thank you.
And he sort of nods at you and starts also walking away. And Ilalu sort of remains alone on the square, as eventually there's a whistle near the stairs, sort of calling for the dancers to gather again, and to go through the routine just once more, to be sure. I'm taking it that you join them, and help out with the rehearsal wherever you can, as the procession is sort of repeated for one last time, from the front of the ziggurat to the side of the river. Meanwhile, Messi, you arrive at your home. You ride into the courtyard where you sort of dismount and help the oracle off the horse. Do you allow your servants, basically your slaves, to help with having the oracle dismount, or are you like, stay back, this is private business?
I'm like, stay back, it's private business. And I help him off of the horse.
All right.
I keep him covered so they can't see him. And as I'm going inside, I whisper to the guards that some of the people from this morning may be right behind me. Please let them in and bring them to the apothecary, my pharmacy.
They nod at you with yes ma'am, and you guide or escort the oracle into your house and towards the apothecary, where you sit him down, and I assume that you'll take it from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him back there and sit him down and take the cloak off of him and just say, I'm so sorry it took us so long to get you out. I'm so sorry. I'm messy. I inherited the university. You probably knew my parents. I know you can't talk right now, but we had a healer with us, and he's on his way, and I don't know if the rest of the guys will be coming. I hope they'll be coming, but I'm going to go ahead and get you some tea, and I'm going to pull out some ointments and some other things to help you, and bring some warm water and some cloths and to get you cleaned up. Please just relax here for a while. And I go running off to the kitchens to get some tea that's not going to be too hot, and some something to clean him up, some towels and a washing basin with warm water and some other things that are going to be needed to help clean him up while I'm waiting on Amaru to show.
Right.
I don't know that the other guys are not coming because I left. I'm just assuming they're coming.
Absolutely. While you are explaining all of this to him, you do see him like nodding a lot and sort of gesturing at his heart like thank you. He does seem to be shiftily sort of looking around in the meanwhile as well, as if he's looking for something. And eventually his eyes fall on a bit of a, how do they call these again? One of those clay tablets that you can write in, but you can sort of erase it again with a scraper. And he sort of gestures at it as if in can I?
Yes. Yeah, you can have anything in this room, you can touch anything in this room, you can do anything you want to.
He erases the tablet and he scrapes into it, thank you.
Oracle, you're so very welcome, and I'm so sorry we didn't get to you sooner. I'm so sorry about your tongue. The only thing I know to do is to pray for divine intervention on your tongue. I if we could have found it, maybe we could have sewn it back on. Or maybe Amaru has some other ideas.
When you talk to him about his tongue, he sort of erases the tablet again, and he writes down Amose as it.
Mose.
That's the Ofar. It's his first name.
God. Oh my lord.
As this is happening inside, Amaru, you arrive at Messi's house, where the guard sort of recognizes you and opens the door for you, and leads you inside towards the apothecary, where you walk in around this moment.
I walk in hastily and catch myself like halfway across the room, and then sort of not prostrate myself, but hunch over and sort of bow walk over to the oracle and say, "I am so sorry we did that. Probably hurt all the way here. What happened to you, your eminence?"
You seem looking back
The
and
oath.
forth between the two of you.
Theophar took his tongue.
Fair enough. He has all the other ones.
No,
So-
he yanked out his tongue.
Yes. I'm saying he has all the tongues from the legs that used to keep service with.
Can you help me heal him?
I can try. I alleviate the pain. Have it not get infected. I don't think there's much to do in terms of sewing back a tongue. Might be a bit too late.
Is there an animal's tongue we can replace it with, or?
But maybe not. Probably shouldn't.
Can you think of any prayers or anything?
Roll me intelligence
Well-
medicine, please, or medicine intelligence, both of you.
Okay. Intelligence and medicine.
I'm gonna
No.
do that too.
Medicine. Intelligence.
Because I'm assisting.
Amaru.
Are you though?
Nope,
Oh,
nope, I'm not assisting.
I feel like that's zero.
I'll do my one luck reroll. I'll
alright,
do
go ahead.
my one luck reroll.
Yeah.
One
Now
success.
I'm
I feel like
assisting.
your help was like, can we sew that animal tongue on?
Right. Now I'm trying to help.
Messi, when you're like an animal tongue, you're like, why am I even saying that? That is a ridiculous idea. In the meanwhile, Amaru, you sort of approach the oracle, who sort of has heard from Messi that you're a healer, so he sort of just sits down and he just opens his mouth so you can actually see. From what you can see from the wound, it's starting the very early signs of an infection. They've cauterized it, but they must have they've done this like sloppily and with haste, and it's not exactly. It staunched the bleeding, but that's about as much as it has helped. This must have hurt quite a bit, and it's probably still hurting like nothing else. But you're quite sure that, particularly with all the things here available in Messi's apothecary, that you can sort of relieve some of the pain and at least try and start dealing with the infection, and make sure that whatever is still in there is healing properly. Reattaching the tongue, however, whether from an animal or his own, that is borderline occult shit. That is not something that you can medically do. That would require some sorcery of some sort, as far as you think it possible.
Yes. So I'll look into his mouth. I won't touch it because obviously it will probably hurt. And I'll say, how long ago was this done to you?
And looking at the wound as well, and the cauterization, and how much it has sort of, like, the infection is a recently onset, and he's like, and then he sort of cleans the slate again, thinking of it, and writes down last night.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, good thing is, the fresher it is, the easier it is to treat. The infection, I mean. Also, the way this was done, you are lucky to have kept the teeth you have. Whoever did this is horrible. Let me just look around. Maybe I can find something to help. And I'll like immediately start looking around.
When you say that whoever did this is horrible, he again wipes the slate and writes down Ofar Amose.
Wait, personally? Like, at first, I was like, yeah, of course it was him who ordered it. And then it just turns out, I was like, wait, personally?
He nods, like frantically.
Oh, okay. That is... Does not mind getting hands dirty. We'll keep that in the back of my head as we're going against it. I'll start just rummaging through the apothecary trying to find something. I do have a specialization in herbalism.
While you start dealing with those materials around you and starting to put together a poultice, he wipes the slate again and he writes down, he wants the words of the gods.
He wants the words of the gods, as in like, and I'm like looking through stuff.
He sort of scratches his head like he was hastily in his writing and he sort of erased it again. He wants to speak with the words of the gods.
Oh, okay. My first assumption was that he wanted to silence them, but I guess his ambition is as great as his power. Cool.
Messi, make me an occult intelligence, and Amaru perhaps as well.
Hey,
occult intelligence. Okay. Two successes.
2 successes and 2 successes. When he's writing this and you're sort of going over this, you do sort of realize that speaking with the words of the gods, this is the oracle's whole thing. This is what the oracle does. And it's with his tongue that he speaks the gods' words. The word of the gods.
I see. So he wanted to steal what is yours for himself.
And he nods.
It seems weird, doesn't it? That the gods wouldn't choose a person to be their oracle, but their tongue?
Well, when you think about trying to steal what is not yours, I'm sure you're a bit warped when you're doing it. He doesn't realize that the power is within the oracle, not just his tongue. And I am going to set up a ritual around him of Eora and for divine intervention and begin to pray.
So yeah, you start making a circle around the oracle. I'm gonna assume a circle of earth and probably seeds.
Yeah.
And some salts, and you sort of start praying, sort of hoping that this would help in the healing. As Amaru does
I'm also going to use some of those flowers from the little flowers.
All right. You're going to eat those yourself? Or how are you using them?
I'm going to ask him to rub them in his hands.
He sort of takes them and starts rubbing them between his hands to sort of squash them a bit.
And I'm gonna pray.
Alright.
That's all I know to do.
So Messi is fraying, and Amaru, you're working away at this time to sort of heal those wounds as much as you can, or
Yes.
prevent the infection from spreading. Meanwhile, somewhere else in town, Sargon, you've made your way away from the temple, and found yourself where in the city specifically?
I'd be in the back alleys of my inn, changing out my clothes from the guard's apparel that I'm currently wearing, and also changing out artist's apparel from the guard's apparel that they're wearing, so that we are now back in our normal apparel.
Right, yeah, he's with you still for that. Then he mentions like, so what do we do? What do we do next?
Well, next we have to kill, you know, a certain someone, but you've got a few hours if you want to split off.
Yeah, sounds like an idea. We'll meet in a few hours. One of those drinking places.
That's a little too, you know, convenient. How about we meet where we first met, the cinnamon bun lady's stall?
All right, I'll be there.
And if you get there first, buy like 2, maybe 3.
Okay. 3 cinnamon buns. And he starts walking off, repeating it like the second time, 3 cinnamon buns.
Okay, fantastic. But yeah, I'll get changed, and I'm gonna set myself up again where I have my armor and stuff on, and I'll have my officer's helm attached to my belt, and I will casually make my way as though I'm coming from the markets to Messi's place.
All right, so you sort of take a bit of a roundabout way to sort of get to Messi's. As you do on the square, the dancing, well, not at the square, but at the river at this point, the rehearsals for the dance are sort of starting to end, and it's like, yeah, this is going to go well tomorrow, we think. Particularly the role that you made at the beginning of the rehearsals, Ilanu, is sort of set the tone for the rest of the rehearsals, and everyone's really looking forward to the next day, as in things seem to have been going very well. So, you are also free to go where you want to at this point, as none of your party members are anywhere in sight.
Alalu would like to make her way to see one of her brothers, and hopefully not get caught by her other brother or dad, and invite them to see the procession.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, that means you're starting to make your way out of town for a bit. And I am going to assume that this brother would be Tipsaru? Or Tupsaru, sorry.
I don't remember. I'd have to look through my notes. Give me
A moment,
yes,
absolutely.
you are right. You are correct. I've not had to use these names yet, so I don't remember either. But yeah, you are correct. He's a nice one. Samra stood for that. Yeah.
So, you make your way out of town and sort of over the first fields nearby the city where some farmers are at work, until in view comes the hut and the house where you used to live a while ago. And you do see like 2 people working on the directly surrounding lands at the moment, and you recognize your father and Tupsaru from a distance.
They're working together. Awkward. Damn it.
They've not yet noticed you.
She'll kind of wait out of sight nearby until Tupsaru's away from her dad, and then she'll try and have a quick word with him.
Let me have a quick check of something.
Or if Grandma's nearby, Grandma would do.
You sort of find yourself a spot to sit somewhere nearby, not too obvious, in their sight. Neither of them seem to notice you anytime soon, but as it starts to get later and later in the day, eventually they seem to be finished on the field, and your father seems to be heading to the house, whereas your brother's heading to the barn.
Sure. Go to her brother.
And you catch him inside the barn, his back towards you, as he's putting away some of the tools that they've been using to plough open some of the land.
She'll very gently tap on the wall of the barn, not wanting to startle him too much.
Elalu, you're home!
Just quickly passing through. She'll run over and give him one hell of a flying hug.
That hug is returned instantly. How have you been? Like, how's things in the city? Are you okay?
It's been busy, but getting by, and had some good news lately, I guess. Gonna be in the procession at the festival.
You're gonna be in the procession tomorrow?
It would mean the world if, everyone comes, or at least you. Obviously, you don't have to let them know that I'll be there, but it'd be nice.
Well, we'll all be there, but it's good to know that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
How have you been?
The usual. You know how Dad tends to get, particularly since last harvest was absolute garbage. But yeah, changed to sugar reeds to try and get something else out of it, as in the grains don't seem to grow properly, and Father wanted to try something else. Had to redo the entire irrigation system. It was a lot of work, but yeah, I do think we finally managed to get it working.
Have my fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, me too, as in, can't really deal with another shit harvest like last year. But yeah. Still think it's a bit of an odd choice. But yeah, Dad knows best.
Yes, to try. Can't keep doing the same thing, hoping it'll change.
I guess that is also true. At least if we manage this harvest, some proper pricing could be made, some proper profit could be made of this. But yeah, we'll
How's
see.
Grandma?
Getting old. Getting very old. Starting to forget things.
She's more sprightly than you.
Fair, sometimes. She gets confused though, and that is sort of worrisome. She's been on about a sister of hers, but she'd never had a sister, at least not as far as Father even knows. Keeps telling her she's talking weirdness.
Thought about taking her to a priest?
Bringing her into the city, we could. But tomorrow would be the ideal day, since all of us are going anyway. We were discussing bringing her or not.
Do, definitely do. I do her some good instead of being cooped up here.
I'll make sure that we bring her. In that case. It really is good to see you. Like, how many months has it been by now?
She shrugs, generally unsure.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, if you... He looks at the house. I'd ask if you've eaten yet, but I'm not entirely sure if Father would be alright with that.
So he is still mad at me.
The state he's been in, I'm not entirely sure if he is, but...
What do you mean state he's been in?
He's been frustrated. Bit with everything. Says that gods have cursed the land, basically. He has no hope for, not even for the sugar reed. He's been in a dark place.
I mean, it's okay to take it out on all of you guys too. But people have got a lot of high hopes for the festival. They think they're putting a lot that it's going to make the harvest good again.
Yeah. Particularly, well, I'm... It's a futile wish, of course, but if the river would flood again, that would be... that would be tremendous.
That would be. What about the fish, though? Are they still enough to sell?
Well, they keep us fed. And there's enough for that. We did have to sell the last cows, however, to buy the new seeds for the next crops. So, yeah, no more milk for now. At least we still have some of the chickens.
She'll just give him a hug. She didn't realise I was getting that bad over here. She'll just give him quite a big hug.
It's not your fault. Like, it's just how things are, I guess, right now. Father says that yeah, we hope that the festival makes things better tomorrow. Yeah. You can tell, by the way, no insight needed, he's holding something back.
What is it?
You've lived in the city for a while, you know how things have... how opinions are splitting.
Yeah.
Father's become a bit of a, he's turned his attention to the gods, like, more radically than usual.
Which way is he leaning this time?
He started listening to the followers of the Ofar. He's convinced that the Ofar has a point and that the gods are punishing us tremendously because we've lost the way. Got the feeling that it's not just the harvest, but that there's more on his mind that he's not telling us. That is... I don't recognize how he's acting. He's changed. Different.
You think what? People losing their way is why Mum ran away.
I think he wants to blame anyone but himself for that.
Sounds about right.
And it's like complaining and shouting about other people not being devoted enough and angering the gods, that sort of raises or elevates us out of blame and make it less of our fault. He's actually starting to scare me a little.
Perhaps you could come to the city for a bit longer. Say that you're doing some research for the farm.
I'll
Get
try
away
to
from
make
him
some
for a bit.
excuses and should be able to.
Take it easy.
I will. You stay safe as well, okay? In the big city over there?
Very big city. Love you.
I love
She'll
you
give
as
him
well.
another hug.
He hugs you back. Stay safe, sis.
And thank you. And she'll get out, hopefully, avoiding Dad.
You managed to make your way off the land before your father happens to come outside by any chance at that moment, and sort of start walking back towards the city. Meanwhile, Sargon has arrived at Messi's house. And as you enter, you are basically escorted by the guards to the apothecary, where you can see Messi sort of meditating in front of the oracle, who's had a circle laid out around him of herbs and earth, and Amaru sort of working away and toiling away at the open mouth of the oracle.
Why is there always something strange at this house? Alright.
Hey, well, the thing is, they cut out his tongue.
Yes, that doesn't explain the circle around.
It's for prayer.
Sure, we'll put it at that. Either way, has he had a chance to write down anything or tell you possibly who has
He
his
told us that the Ophar has it. The Ophar wanted to speak with the god's words, so he took his tongue. The Ophar literally
The
is the
Ophar
one
wanted
last
to
night,
speak with the god's words.
so he ripped his tongue out.
So is the Ophar planning on putting the oracle's tongue in his mouth?
Probably.
Oh!
Casually, Amaru
I
says
hadn't
probably.
even thought of that. Oh!
What? I mean, what else would he do with it? Make a soup?
I mean, that sounds exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
What you
that's
just
awful.
described is that's immediately the imagery that comes out.
I stop for a moment while I'm working and I look at her and I say, so someone putting a human tongue in their mouth bothers you, but you wanted to put a veal's tongue in the prophet's mouth.
She wanted to what?
She wanted to
I was
put
trying
an
to
animal
figure
tongue
out
into
how to
his mouth.
replace
So he can...
the tongue. I was trying
That's
to.
not how that works. You don't just replace
don't know.
a human tongue with a non-human tongue.
That's why we have the medical professional here.
Yes, and we're not relying upon your circles of let's take a goat tongue and shove it in the oracle's mouth.
Circles, as long as you don't make him eat any dirt or anything else for the matter, that would make the infection worse.
What's next? Let's rub honey on it?
Probably bad idea.
No.
But if you do have some alcohol,
Oh yeah, I've got some.
Yes.
Plenty of alcohol.
I
in
go.
here.
Or, I go ask the staff to bring alcohol.
I don't think you need to ask the staff, as in, this is the apothecary, you have alcohol in this particular room.
Okay.
okay, so does the oracle have any vows of not drinking or anything of the sort?
Not that you're aware of.
Okay, so I'm gonna make him gargle the alcohol after I'm like done dressing the wounds.
He near immediately after drinking it spits it out, as in you can see that he's hurt and he sort of Because it probably stings a lot more than he expected.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I forgot to mention, will sting like bitch, but also does help.
He sort of looks at you like, are you sure?
Yes,
It's very useful.
I am. Sorry, I'm used to treating people who are a bit more used to pain.
If you consume it as well, it will numb a little bit of the pain. Not all of it. It will take a little time. Maybe about the good 7 or 8 gulps, and suddenly you get this numbing effect. It's beautiful.
He looks down and he starts gurgling with it again, and then really makes a face as he tries to eventually swallow it. And the moment that he does, he starts coughing, and coughing so violently, even Amaru, that you're like worried that the wounds might open up again.
I lightly pat his back.
Yeah, maybe not drink it currently, in current state.
He puts the cup down again, like, oh, that was... You can see his face that he didn't really agree with the drink in particular.
What alcohol did you give him?
It is very strong. This is probably not as strong alcohol as we would have to disinfect, but this is brewed particularly to be as strong as they can make it in this particular time period. Just mainly
more like
for disinfecting.
moonshine.
Okay.
Moonshine for disinfecting. And he took a big gulp of moonshine. Not a sip, a gulp.
I swear. Well, I don't think any of us are going to make any grandiose invasions of the Ofar's, how do you say, quarters to retrieve the Oracle's tongue anytime soon. It's kind of suicidal at the moment. Sorry. No offense. You should alert your friends, though, that the Oracle is within our possession, though.
That's a good idea. I sit the Oracle back down. I tell him I will commence the prayer and the rituals in just a little bit, and I go out and write some messages to be delivered quickly, like fast delivery. I write messages to...
As you go to do this as well, by the way, and you sit down at the desk, the Oracle reaches out for the pad again, the clay tablet. He erases it again and he starts writing again. Tomorrow. He's planning something. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow he's planning something. Okay, to your friends, I would like you to tell them that the individuals who were originally tasked with securing the Oracle should join us in a combined effort to complete secondary task.
Okay.
But don't mention the Oracle and any of this yada yada. You'll know how to write this in code.
Yes. Yes.
But then again, I'll leave it to you. And I walk away.
All right. I compose the letters for my inside guy, and ask him to combine everyone for the situation with the OFAR, and basically, I say, we have obtained your package that you were supposed to get, who is now at my residence. For the second passage that the other group was supposed to package for the other group, they're going to need help for that, so they need to come by the meeting place in the university for a meeting tonight to discuss what needs to be done with haste. Further details will be given upon arrival. And I send a runner.
Alright, so you send out that letter. Takes you a while to sort of compose the words the way that you wanted them, but eventually you're like, yeah, this is safe, and you sort of wrap them up and send the runner out. Meanwhile, Violet, as you are still with the Oracle, Sargon, did you actually leave, or are you still with the Oracle in that room?
Sargon's still with the Oracle.
Mm-hmm. You see that he sort of erases the tablet again, and he writes down something that he sort of pushes towards Amaru. Like, you're not with him.
I'll read it.
It says, you're not with him.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
With who exactly? You mean the offer?
He nods.
Well, I guess not anymore. Was never really into the whole exclusionary policies. I'm way less into ripping out people's tongues.
He erases the tablet again and writes down. Something is different about him.
Different to how he was before?
More different, he writes. Like a long cast shadow.
See, you don't need your tongue to be cryptic.
No, I think what he means is, something's casting a shadow over him, which is causing him to be different than he normally is. That's all.
There's a wry smile, and as you make the joke, and then he also nods at Sargon.
Well, foreign influences, you mean, or something supernatural?
Probably a little of column A, a little of column B.
He writes down, I can't see it.
I'm gonna avoid that one.
You can't see the thing that is casting the Ophar-shaped shadow?
He nods.
Well, I do not know how I could help in that regard, but if you don't mind, I have a question of my own, just out of pure curiosity.
He nods.
I point to the dirt circle around him. All this Aora, bees, honey, dirt thing, is it just superstitious nonsense, or does she exist?
While you're asking it, when you say superstitious nonsense, he closes his eyes with a wry smile as well, and he shakes his head. At the moment, does she not exist is the next question?
But does she exist?
Does she exist? The moment you change to that question, he starts nodding.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I guess that's all I have to ask. There's some things to think on. Do you have a direction in terms of the research we could do in terms of the shadow offer?
He was writing as you sort of started asking that question as well, and you see that he was writing daughter, not just mother. But when that next question comes out, he sort of looks down and he starts erasing it again. And
Does he write anything after erasing it?
He's pensive.
I think we all are in the moment.
And eventually he writes down, "For me to see, the gods must see."
Okay, that is...
That's cryptic. That
More than
is
slightly
very
ominous.
cryptic. Okay, yeah, alright. Question, was there a particular place that he went to before suddenly Long Shadow appeared? You know.
He shrugs his shoulders and shakes his head.
Any rituals? You know, special time of the year?
And he starts writing again. The shadow is weak. The Ophar wants it to be stronger.
Wait. Alright, this is where you, the religious man, tell me that on certain times during the year, including when upcoming festival is going to be, that there are tears in the fabric of God's space and mortal space, and they get thinner, and suddenly supernatural things become super strong, and that's what he's waiting for, to perform some evil ritual to take over the world.
He sort of looks at you, sort of raises an eyebrow, then sort of erases it. It's like, I don't know the intention.
That doesn't deny everything else that I said, though. Well, and that's when I walk out of the room.
And Sargon sort of throws his hands in the air like, well, and starts walking out. His attention falls back to you, Amaru, and he sort of erases the tablet again and writes down something else. And it starts writing, and then he's like, how do I word this? Erases it again and writes again. And he writes down, something is coming. And the moment you've read it, he erases it again. Like this was specifically for you, it seems, or it feels.
Well, again, extremely ominous. Also a sentence I used to hear a lot back home in a different context, but
He sort of raises an eyebrow at you, like questioningly.
Grew up in a brothel, never mind. But I have a friend, acquaintance. I'm not sure if I'm sure she's a friend. And she's been having trouble with things dying around her. Fabrics, plants, foods, both living and dead things. Could it be connected? Would you know things?
He writes down, bring her to me.
I'm quite certain she will find her way back to you. Here, somehow. If nothing, for the next time there is a bacon breakfast, at which she will eat fruit.
He sort of...
And I look at the bottle of the alcohol is like probably named something like Toramanian Ballbuster, and I decide that if this isn't the right time to have a drink, then there isn't one.
He sort of looks with a face at you like, oh, you're actually drinking that?
I will try.
As you try to
Not used
drink
to
that.
drinking.
This is some strong stuff, so roll me a stamina with what in this particular case, I wonder. Let's quickly double check.
Composure?
Yeah, stamina composure, yeah. Okay, it is a hard swallow, but you manage to do it without coughing, and you get a raised eyebrow from the oracle. At that scene, Ilalu, you've also made your way back to town, and the evening is starting to creep over the landscape. What are your plans for the rest of the night?
She will probably go and see if her mates are in the usual tavern, which I know they're not, but that she doesn't know nowhere else to go to them. So she'll go there, see they're not there, probably pray, and then head to see to Amaru's quarters to have an early sleep.
So you arrive at Amaru's quarters, and you see the usual few priests that do tend to hang around there. And there's a papyrus note sitting on the bed.
I sure hope this ain't private, because people, Ali made it very clear she cannot read. So she's gonna ask a nearby priest to translate this for her. She can't read.
One of the priests opens it and sort of looks at it. Ah, yes, this just mentions you that you can go for the dress tomorrow morning. A different place than... Right, and he recites a different address than the usual seamstress. Somewhere more up the market district.
Does she know where that is?
You would recognize where to find this particular place, yes. You sort of...
She'll thank them and keep the note just in case she needs to show it to people to figure out where it is.
Yeah. But no Amaru to be found at this time, unfortunately. Yeah, this is the thing with splitting the party if you don't know where everyone is. Sargon, in the meanwhile, what are your plans?
Sargon is going to go get a drink, and then he's going to bed. Simple as that.
All right.
Yeah, he's done
Well,
with the day.
I would have told him that everyone was going to meet over at the university, because I wrote the note that he asked me to read. You know, you asked me to send them a note.
I will get the drink,
asking them,
and I will make my way to the university with snacks.
All
I'm buying
right.
cinnamon buns.
With snacks.
Enough
All right.
for... Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... And Sargon is literally doing this at the cinnamon bun cart. Give me like 8.
8, sure, coming up. And the cinnamon bun lady starts collecting 8 buns in a bit of a cloth so that you can carry them easier. And this is handed to you. Amaru and Messi. Messi, I'm going to assume you're going to head to the university as well and probably inform Amaru that you're doing this.
First, I'm going to do a ritual prayer to the mother for divine healing on the oracle. Then I'm going to ask Amaru to I'm going to thank him, and I'm going to ask him to not tell anybody that the oracle is here, and quietly go back to the ziggurat and just remain vigilant and don't tell anybody about what has happened.
All right.
Yes. I'm. But not a living soul. And I do a little bow and start walking away. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm taking the booze with me.
That's fine.
Okay, he just walks out with the bottle and like stashes it somewhere himself.
The priest walks out with the bottle. I'm quickly gonna double check something. Messi, as Amaru walks out, you notice something, and I'm gonna ask you to make me a wits. What is it? Yeah, let's call it a wits occult with an extra dice.
Okay. With an extra dice. Okay. 4 successes.
4 successes. Occult wits, excellent. As you guide Amaru outside as well, and you step outside for just a moment in the courtyard as well before you see him off, you notice that there's a swarm of birds that sort of flies over the house in half of a panic, and something in you feels like something's wrong with that. And as the two of you step outside onto the street and you look over the city, you can see that most of the birds in the sky at this point, and there's a lot of them in the sky at this very moment, all of them seem to be flying up and in the direction away from the city.
That can't be good.
You
And I
figure
point
this
to the
might be
birds.
a sign of the Earth Mother, potentially.
The birds are flying away from the city. That's bad. That's very bad.
You say this out loud?
Yeah.
Alright,
I'm
Amaru.
showing Amaru.
When she says this,
that's
and you
very
start looking around as well, and she sort of points across the skyline, basically, that you can, from this district, sort of see down onto the rest of the city. It's almost, yes, indeed, like in a massive half circle that, like, all the birds are sort of flying away, like a shit ton of birds. Spread out, some in swarms, some alone.
When animals flee, it's a bad thing.
Yes, rats and ships and all. I don't see what we can do about it currently. We're sort of already well aware that, well, it is currently a shit show.
Please take care of yourself and take care of Alalu tonight. She seemed a bit frazzled earlier, so yeah, make sure you guys take really great care tonight. Be careful on your way back.
Well, I'll be about as careful as I can. We do sleep in a common sleeping area, not much private that can go on there.
And with that, the two of you sort of part at Messi's door. Amaru heading back towards the temple quarter, where you, not very long after, meet up with Alalu in the sleeping quarters, where she's sort of sitting and waiting, sort of wondering where everyone went.
Hello, how did the dance practice go?
Yeah, the rehearsal went really well. We did a couple of alterations to just our formations to work better with the route we were taking, but yeah, feel a lot more comfortable about the routine now. And it was nice to take my mind away from everything else, I guess. But yeah. How are you doing? I didn't see where you went off to.
Well, I do believe I missed probably missed the date that you set up for me.
There might still be time.
I look out. Nah, it's fine. Anyways, I look around. How many people are there around?
Currently, I'm gonna say you have the room to yourself right now.
Okay. I look around and I say, well, I had to tend to some wounds of a person we were getting.
Wounds? So, but they're alive, they're alright.
Yes, their tongue has been violently ripped out of their mouth and the wound cauterized. Wasn't even surgically removed like they sometimes do for the legs. It's just yoink.
She looks queasy. She looks like she's almost gagging at the thought. Like, that's horrifying.
Yes. Oh, who? Oh, well, the Ilfar. He seems to be a man who likes collecting tongues, whether legs or profits.
How is he able to get away with all this?
Probably people that can do extreme violence that are paid very well.
But
Also, you know, hundreds of years of institutions and whatnot.
she nods as if she understands. She doesn't understand.
Cruelty is not as uncommon as you'd think within the priesthood. Whether it be small things like mockings or beatings, or things like ripping out the tongues of officials.
None of the priests I friends to or speak to do any of that. You didn't do any of that.
Well, a lot of people don't do that, but it's not about how many do it, it's about how loud the actions they do are. And usually those that are willing to do such actions are the ones that end up on top.
What's next?
Well, what is next is I will try to finish as much of this bottle of Turamanian Bullbuster as I can, and I'll go to sleep.
Armenian Whatbuster? I've not.
It's
heard of
really
that.
good. It does not actually make your balls burst, but you do feel like it.
Enjoy.
I'll just take
Yeah,
another
like-
swig.
As he takes another
Go to
swig of
my
that
bed.
bottle, Ilalu, you see that bottle heave up and you realize the Romanian products are rather expensive since there's very little legal trade with Turamat. And you see like 2 eggs painted on the on the actual label, and one of them is like broken in half and the insides of the eggs are like spilled next to
Yeah.
it.
Since he's not really used to drinking, but he's composed enough that he can take a long ass swig, but you can see tears like just running down his face.
It
as he's
clearly
taking
burns
this
to
big
drink this.
swig. Then he puts it down, corks it, goes to his bed, takes out Habir, his like little
You'd do
shrunken head,
anything
drinks
to
it.
avoid a date, wouldn't you?
I take out Habir and I go, yes! And then I go to sleep.
Very, very loud, high-pitched giggles, and she says a prayer for the night. She ought to retire.
I love how she's a better priest than me. I'm just gonna...
So as our dancer and priest sort of lay to bed, Sargon and Messi are still awake as they are making their way through the city towards nowhere else than the university. as the two of you are walking through the streets, there is something in the starting night sky or the darkening night sky that is different than usual, and this seems to be a gathering of clouds starting to gather above the city as you make your way to the university.
Well, Sargon, let me tell you, the signs are bad. Earlier, when Amr left, birds were fleeing the city in mass. And now I see the dark clouds coming. This is not good. Yeah, we need to get rid of that, or well, you know what, as soon as possible.
I have to say, I love the faces that Sargon is making right now.
This is not exactly the healthy, happy, healing environment.
She says, pointing at the sky.
Anyone or anything. This is like a hellfire and brimstone and baddies coming out from the earth. Dead, rotting things eating your flesh.
This looks like dark storm clouds to you.
It's just dark storm clouds. There's... What?
It's rare, but
Bad
not
juju.
unusual.
Bad juju. Just take my word for it. Bad juju. Bad juju. When animals start running away and there's these kinds of signs, this is bad. I'm quite nervous.
Okay.
It is on this rant that the two of you make your way into the room with the ziggurat miniature.
Yeah. I just set up a cinnamon bun per chair in the room.
Mm-hmm. You sort
And
of
I wait.
wait for a few minutes, and eventually people start sort of making their way in. Well, yes. Close this one. Yep. And Meron also appears eventually, greeting the two of you. So, good news, I hear.
Yeah, the oracle's at my house.
That is
But
wonderful.
unfortunately, we got to him a little late because Ophar ripped out his tongue.
Sorry, what?
Ophar ripped out his tongue
That man really
because
has
he's going to
lost
do
it.
some sort of weird ritual to use his tongue to speak to the gods.
How does he even plan to do that?
Presumably he'll put the oracle's tongue within his mouth after cutting out his own tongue to replace his tongue with the oracle's tongue. It's a whole tongue thing. Anyways. I figured, according to the oracle, he has something extremely ominous planned for tomorrow involving this tongue-on-tongue action. So it'd be best if we could perhaps get the group that was doing something to get the oracle, I don't know what, to join in the group that is going to raid and destroy the Ophar before he arrives at the festivities, perhaps tomorrow.
That sounds like we would have to now, as in considering that the Oracle is no longer in his chambers, as in by the time that the Ophar finds out, he will probably assume something more is going on.
Did you get the list of names of his other baddie followers, his big time supporters
Yes, and
that we need to get rid of.
he nods to two of the other people in the room, and he's like, we have people who will take care of them while you deal with the Ofar. The people who were assigned to the Oracle, we will assign them to your detail. As in, considering the Oracle is now missing, the Ofar's personal security will likely have increased.
Appreciate that. Who am I working with?
And he gives you a list of names, and they sound familiar to you as other mercenaries.
Any of them sound like people I also served with during the time that I was in the military as well?
No, but you know them by reputation, and
Okay.
the reputation is, well, good. And
Great.
you sort of figure that they would recruit people for this who are known to be capable.
Alright, last question in regards to the list of names. No one from the Brotherhood of Gifts, correct?
In the ones that support the Ofar?
No.
Oh, the ones that
in the
are
ones that
dealing
will-
with... No, none of the Brotherhoods of Gifts. Also, considering they were hired mainly by Maran, yeah, you'd assume a priest not to particularly trust that particular band of mercenaries.
Good. Fantastic. Just double checking, though, you know.
So, we strike tomorrow when the Ofar makes his way from his quarters to the actual ziggurat. The particular time will depend on how long exactly the festivities, well, extend beyond themselves, as in, he will probably
Honestly,
leave...
I would
Sorry?
much more prefer to strike here and now, you know.
Tonight.
But, yes, but if that is not possible, yes, we will wait till tomorrow.
Tonight is a possibility. It would... He wouldn't necessarily know the Oracle is missing just yet, which would mean
There's
that
a
his security
possibility,
might
yes.
still be on the low
Still
side.
be lax, yes.
In that case, we would need to get out riders quickly that we are moving ahead of schedule.
Now, the thing is, if there is some extreme requirement that the Ofar fall on the night of the festivities, we could simply capture and hold him until that time.
As in, the symbolical worth of that might have been interesting, but then again, I wouldn't risk letting him alive if we take the opportunity tonight.
You do not see it the possibility that one could take him alive tonight?
I do see the
Bound, gag
possibility,
him,
but it's
drag him
risky.
away?
If there are more followers that know he's captured that we are not aware of just yet, then they might try to break him out again. If we strike tonight, I suggest we do so thoroughly. As
Then
in,
perhaps we kill him tonight. We hide the body. And upon the beginning of the festivities, we display the body.
that sounds perfect to me. As in, Ofar Ethi might have preferred during the festival, but I do agree more with strike and strike permanently.
In that case, where shall we meet?
Considering the night has fallen already, I would say time to get everyone together, and 1.5 hours from now we meet at the... Let me quickly...
I would not suggest the Banner House.
No. The Shrine to Ramat
That works.
in 1.5 hours.
Very well, enjoy your cinnamon bun. And I stand up and I leave.
as you leave, he instantly starts writing some notes. Messy, you also leaving or you staying inside?
I am leaving to go back to check on the Oracle and go and get some additional darts. But they would be poison darts for death.
Deadly
Not
poison,
for-
preferably.
Yeah. This is
Scorpion
not for
venom.
paralyzing. I have paralyzing on me, and I have sleep on me, but I'm looking for some death darts.
Alright, you go out and try to get your hands on some poison still. Sargon, as you leave, who do you plan to inform and to collect for tonight's events?
I'm gonna get Ardith, which means I'm gonna get us to switch back into our uniforms. And I am also... The two of them were for the festival. As much as a part of me wants to get them, I also don't want them to be, involved in what is essentially going to be a throwdown brawl of death. So, yeah, it's just me and Ardith getting our armor on and making our way to the shrine. Not too far away from the shrine, so that when we see other people gathering there, we can simply blend right into them.
So you make your way to where you go collect Ardeth, you switch back into those uniforms, and eventually make your way towards the shrine of Ramat. While Amaru is in a stupor trying to sleep, probably having not the greatest sleep due to the alcohol consumption, and Elalu, you are also in the priest quarters sort of entertaining yourself somehow till you sort of also find some rest. And Messi also eventually makes her way to the shrine of Ramat. Since we're gonna need Ardeth for this, I'm gonna have to unfortunately call it there for today, as we are moving in very quickly on a potential assassination tonight. However, from Messi and Sargon, there's one more thing that I want the two of you to do, and that is a wits awareness roll.
I probably will.
And Amaru, make me one as well.
Do I?
Do I have a disadvantage of some sort due to a probable hangover?
Just a straight wits awareness roll, and Amaru, you're gonna add, if I'm not mistaken, we had passively planned something for your future.
If we have, I remember not.
Yes, add 2 additional dice to that.
That's under modifier?
Modifier to D10, yes.
I have an awareness specialty for keen eyesight. Do I add one?
You can add me 1 additional one for that, let me see. Awareness wits from Amaru, is that correct though?
I have 4.
Let me check your character sheet. 4 successes, and I'm gonna quickly check Amaru's character sheet. Wits awareness, wits is 2, awareness is...
One.
There's 1, so that's 3 plus 2 is 5 total dice. That would have been correct, yes. Amaru, you sort of have a hard time catching proper sleep. You're not entirely sure if it's the alcohol or something else, but something dark feels like it's pressing on you as you try to sleep. Messi, as you head in the direction of the shrine of Ramat, the storm clouds that have started gathering above the city seem to have centralized above something, and it's a very, very passive pattern. It is hardly recognizable from the ground up. But you've got a feeling like these storm clouds are forming around a center point, which seems to be the ziggurat.
Oh boy.
Particularly as you're making your way there specifically. The closer you get, the more this stands out to you.
Is this pointed out to us?
Well,
You're
Messi
in
is
bed.
on her way to the ziggurat.
Oh right, I thought we were. I'm sorry, my brain went like we're all together.
You two were trying to sleep in the priest quarters. And it's on Messi sort of being like, oh boy, I've seen so many signs today, and this is another one, that we're gonna call it. And we'll pick up there in, unfortunately, 2 weeks, and hopefully sometime soon. We're going to try and pick an extra date for an extra session, because next week I will be in Antwerp, and I won't be able to host the game from there. And hopefully we'll manage to pick a date to sort of get an extra session in there, to sort of pick up and head towards this assassination, as dark clouds are gathering above Arthis. So thank you everyone for being here, for watching, and thank you my players for being here and playing with me. And see you next time. Have a good one everyone. Bye.